His body was riddled with evidence that he was beaten more than once. The lack of body fat and diminishing muscle likely made the pain worse.
And it goes on from there. That was Judge Camille Nider emotionally retelling the medical examination of Gavin Peterson. She went on to say she found it telling that she herself was more emotional in court today than Shane Peterson was. And she also mentioned it was the first time that she could recall in her 25 years on the bench that she cried in open court. Called it unacceptable that Shane allowed, encouraged, condoned, and even facilitated the abuse against Gavin Peterson more than one time, and Shane was found guilty on all 5 charges against him. Judge Nider says she will encourage the board to keep him locked up until he dies. Hard to mince words there when Judge Nider was extremely forthcoming with her thoughts today. Criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro kind enough to join us in studio tonight to discuss this at length. I mean, the judge extremely emotional. How telling is that?
I think that's extremely telling. I mean, we have to remember judges are supposed to be impartial and they have experiences, as we heard Judge Nider discuss in open court today. When you have a judge that gets this emotional during a sentencing, I think that tells us is that the facts of this case are particularly bad. This is a judge with a criminal calendar, and she sees a lot of cases every day, every week, and has for years.
How often is it that you witness a judge with that sort of emotion in court?
Not often. I mean, I've seen judges get a little angry, maybe yell at some people, get stern, but to see a judge experience that level of emotion, I think, is extremely telling in this case.
All family members in this case pled guilty, so that would be the stepmother, the father, the brother, Tyler. Now, Tyler pled guilty with a mental condition to child abuse resulting in homicide. So can you explain a difference between what that looks like compared to perhaps the other 2 adults?
Right. So when someone pleads guilty by reason of mental defect or disease, what that does is it allows for treatment options. So the case is now set for an update on any treatment or any assessments that can be done so that they can get a better understanding of perhaps his diagnosis and his mental capabilities. What that allows a judge to do is be able to sentence them proportionately. It means they can spend time at a state hospital, they could spend time in a facility, maybe they don't go to prison on this case.
Now, Shane submitted certificates of completion from jail, things like completing courses, culinary skills, tasks. The judge was actually upset that Shane believed this would help him. I mean, it seems like more of a Hail Mary attempt for lessening one of those charges or the recommendations?
Anytime you have somebody who's looking at a potential prison sentence or a lengthy jail sentence and they're incarcerated, most attorneys will encourage their clients to participate in any sort of programming or resources that are available throughout the jail. That does not always translate to mitigation. Now, in some cases, it certainly can, where they've done a bunch of stuff, but it's not a really egregious case. Judges will say, hey, look, you've taken this seriously. You did a lot of work on yourself while you were incarcerated. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and either give you less time or perhaps, sentence you to probation. In a case like this, it wasn't going to make any difference for him.
Judge basically saying there's nothing you can do at this point. And she also encouraged the board, which here in Utah, it's that board that'll ultimately determine the length of the sentence. We've talked about this with Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrand, another child abuse case that did not result in death, but resulted in harm to the children. Until you die is what she said with her recommendation, hoping that the board listens. Now out of her control.
It is out of her control, and it is ultimately up to the board. He was sentenced consecutively on the first-degree felony, 3 second-degree felonies, and a third, which means 40% of those sentences are going to tack on. But when you have a judge who's recommending or makes a recommendation to the board that this person should not be allowed to be paroled because there is no way that they can foresee them safely being in the community or paying the penance portion of their crime, I do think the board will take that into consideration.
On the board subject, because people always ask, you see it in the comments, well, how long was he sentenced for? It's It's quite confusing until you learn it, and I'm still learning it. You've probably already learned how this thing operates. Is the board the most effective way in this situation? Is it the most effective way to make sure, in a way, it's a subjective decision, but it's gotten right, it's correct at the end of the day?
The theory behind having the board make these decisions is it gets rid of any disparity among judges. So you may have a judge who would sentence one crime super harsh and a judge in another county who would sentence it differently. By giving it to the board, what you're saying is, look, you guys, run the matrix, you have the sentencing guidelines, and then they get to decide on a case-by-case basis, based on the facts of that case, what people do along the way, exactly how much time they're going to do. And I think that is the right way, because it allows the board to take into consideration the facts of the case. And also, if he goes to prison and gets in trouble, they're going to keep him longer.
You and I watched the judge's remarks while reading some of the medical examination of Gavin and the emotion behind it. But is there anything else that jumped out at you from this case, or what you saw today, as we all saw, with a very emotional day in the courtroom that doesn't always happen?
It doesn't, and this is a very sad case, and the judge probably only got a fraction of the facts that are out there. Because he pled guilty, this case didn't go to trial, so we probably didn't hear about the entire extent of the injuries, but she did focus on not just the injuries that resulted in his death, but the psychological effect that it had on him while he was going through this. And she really emphasized that this kid knew what was happening to him was wrong. And, he had to live and endure that. The other thing, in this case, and we saw after Ruby Franke, is, this case had been referred to DCFS back in 2020, and nothing was done. And, not to pass blame from the defendant to, a state agency, certainly not doing that. What he did is what he did and continued to do. But the lack of intervention in these cases, I think, is somewhat troubling.
And we've had this unfortunate conversation talking about what you would categorize as a higher profile child abuse case. This one extremely unfortunate with a death involved. And you just alluded to DCFS. At this point, when you look at a case like this, maybe you look at Frankie Hildebrandt and some of the others that we've talked about, do these cases highlight significant lapses in the system, not protecting these children?
I would say yes. And the reason is that these cases have ongoing patterns of abuse. This isn't just nobody saw it coming, or a parent had a psychological break and acted completely out of character. These are cases where they'd been referred to DCFS because someone at the school was concerned about, maybe his condition or the way he looked. And then if you have medical records or things like that, and it sounds like in this case he didn't, but the extent of his injuries, it probably would have been noticeable to adults. So had DCFS gotten involved, they perhaps could have, stopped what inevitably happened in this case.
Well, the case from the very beginning has been troubling, and as we learned more facts about it and things that were written by officers and reports, absolutely disturbing. Don't want to sugarcoat it. Thanks for coming in and talking about this. I know it's not an easy topic to talk about.
Thank you, Brian.
Criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro joining us here on the program tonight. Now, last October, we did an entire half-hour town hall meeting on this case and the push for change within DCFS. If you'd like to watch this discussion with community members from West Haven, just rocked by this case, we posted that online. It's on our YouTube page right now. You can find it there. It's our KUTV 2 News page. Coming up here on the show, a small town officer on paid leave after being accused of crimes while the investigation plays out. Who will foot the bill, and how does this impact the department? Welcome back. We're in southern Utah tonight, where the Springdale Police Department is without one of its officers after one of their own was arrested over the weekend. Now, according to court documents, Britt Ballard was arrested following a family fight. This happened in Hurricane. The officer was not on duty at the time. Ballard is accused of threatening a woman with a gun and fighting with another man. Now he's on paid administrative leave. Investigators say alcohol played a role in what happened. So the Springdale Police Department employs just 10 officers. With Ballard on leave, they've lost 10% of their force. While the investigation plays out, taxpayers will foot the bill. Liv Kelleher is talking with tax advocates about what kind of strain this could put on the small town.
My understanding is, for the most part, is that it's just lost money to the taxpayer, that the government doesn't really get a chance to get that back.
Bill Hesterman is the president of the Utah Taxpayers Association. He says their main priority is to raise awareness on what elected officials do with taxpayer dollars. In the case of public officials on paid leave,
The taxpayers are still on the hook to make sure that they're receiving the salary that was agreed to when they took the job.
Is that a good use of taxpayer dollars?
It's just a part of the process that we have at the time right now. The fact that we want someone to be able to, not be left hamstrung if they go through the whole investigation and we find that, oh, they're innocent.
if they are found guilty or terminated.
Is there some type of payback that should be done over time? And what kind of restitution to the state and the taxpayers should be done?
Which could have a large impact on small towns like Springdale.
So maybe there should be some type of, government account that the state could have to help supplement our smaller communities, to help them in those situations arise.
We also reached out to the Springdale Police Department to ask several questions about Ballard's suspension. How will this impact the resources of the Springdale Police Department? Are there any policies about the time frame of an internal investigation? And how do they work to mitigate the amount of time taxpayers are paying the salary of an officer who isn't working? Lieutenant J.J. Ray with the Springdale Police Department declined to answer any questions. In Springdale, Liv Kelleher, KUTV 2 News.
The 2 News Diaper Drive is brought to you by Cypress Credit Union, Utah Honda Dealers, and Mountain Home Services.
All right, Utah, the time is now. 1 in 3 families in the state struggle with diaper needs. You can and you should help us out right now with the 2 News Diaper Drive. From now until Mother's Day, you can take diaper donations to any Cypress Credit Union or your local Utah Honda dealer. You can also scan that fancy QR code that we built for you on the graphic here on your screen, or go to KUTV.com to make a cash donation. For each $10 donation, you can help supply a family with 25 to 50 diapers a month. UDOT just releasing some videos showing crews clearing snow that's piled up along Guardsman Pass. Can't wait till we get out there and go for a hike. That road is beautiful. It connects Brighton to Park City. Typically, Guardsman opens in May, or it can be closed all the way until June, whenever they can clear that snow. It is difficult. Right now, it's still closed until further notice. They have a lot of work to do. You know, it did snow at some higher elevations, meteorologist Sean Kelly. I wouldn't be surprised if it added to the complexity of the situation to open the pass.
I mean, 8 inches up there. We're talking Snowbird, Alta, picking up 8 inches. It was a powder day for many, kind of a slushy evening now, though, with a little bit of that snow melt. So let's talk about the wind alerts, because we're starting to see some gusty winds as the storm moves further away from us. But I want to make sure everything is secured here across your yard. Anything lightweight yard furniture will need to be secured, as we've got wind advisories that remain in effect further up towards the north, across the northern end of the Wasatch Front, up through Cache Valley. Right now, it's nothing that we can't handle. Wind gusts nearing 20 miles per hour. But look at this. As we get closer towards 10 p.m. through midnight, these winds really whip in here. Easterly, downsloping canyon winds, Farmington, Centerville area could see some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And then early tomorrow morning, still a bit gusty, but not as bad, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. And then as we progress through the morning, things are in the clear, and then we can finally put those winds behind us. Look at this. We've got some clearing here and there, some cloudy skies further down towards the south, but generally up and down the Wasatch Front. It's turning out to be a nice evening, still a little bit on the cool side, but we're into the 60s right now. 50 degrees in Park City, 54 in Heber, 59 in Delta, 52 in Milford. Cedar City, quite cold all day long. It's been a cold rain, and it still is raining down towards the south and west. You can see the cloudier skies further up towards the north, maybe a passing shower into the Provo area. From Vernal southward into the Moab area, we've got some scattered showers heading towards Grand Junction, and then dry right now in St. George. Further up from Cedar City into the Panguitch area, this has been an area that's been seeing some good rain, and that's going to continue on here through the next few hours into the Beaver area as well. Generally, though, as we head after 10 p.m., we start to wind things down. Tomorrow morning, we're quiet for much of the state. In fact, we're seeing some good sunshine here across the Wasatch Front. Notice so, tomorrow afternoon, some daytime heating. We may see some high terrain elevation showers, an isolated chance. It's a low possibility here. After that, we're good to go. Heading into Thursday, it's beautiful. Friday, we'll really warm up those temperatures. This is going to be the strongest ridge of high pressure that we've seen so far this year, and that will bring us the warmest temperatures of the season so far. Mom's going to be happy on Mother's Day when the temperature's into the middle 80s, getting close to 90 degrees. So outdoor plans this weekend for sure. We're into the 40s as we head into the overnight. Highs tomorrow, we're into the 70s across the area. Plenty of sunshine further up towards the north. St. George, we're into the 80s, eventually the 90s as we make our way into the weekend. Windy weather as we head into early next week. So it's going to be hot by Sunday and Monday. Then along the Wasatch Front, we've got temperatures here that go from the 70s to the 80s. Friday, 84 degrees, 87 on Saturday, 88 on Sunday there. Windy weather with a spot shower or two. And then heading into next week, we'll see a little bit of a cool down. But overall, weekend plans need to be outdoors. Even as we get to tomorrow, we're going to see some good sunshine here. So weather is looking great. All
right, Mom, make sure you put on some sunscreen if you go out here.
That's right.
It's going to be a nice weekend. That's gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, not everybody can hit the slopes on May 6th, but others, like you and I, might choose the golf course later this weekend.
That is some perfect golfing weather, I mean,
we're going to dry out a little bit after a soaking rain for the courses.
Right. Yes, of course.
And your yards.
Yes, but you know what? It was good rain. We saw some areas over an inch, but we've been pretty dry. So
we need more.
The ground's soaking up that rain for sure.
Thank you, Sean. Coming up here on the show, an accidental Amazon order turned into a garage full of dumb suckers. How this woman is on the hook for over $4,000. worth of candy she didn't want. Oh, wow. Welcome back. The Utah Pride Festival now 1 month away.
Yeah, this year's theme is Radical Love. Organizers say they want to remind everyone love in its purest form is unconditional and transformative. The Pride celebration kicks off on Saturday, June 7th with a rally at 10 a.m. at the state capitol. Then festival gates open at 11 a.m. The parade is Sunday, June 8th at 10 a.m.
So this one's interesting. I feel like we hear about these every so often. The picture's remarkable. Imagine opening your front door to find 70,000 suckers, dumb suckers on the front porch. That's what happened to a woman in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, Holly Lafever's 8-year-old son accidentally ordered 70,000 of them on Amazon. She was on the hook for more than $4,000. Her son Liam has developmental delays, a condition that affects his decision making. Amazon says they will look into her claim of a refund.